So I kind of clickbaited you on this video. I'm not actually just showing you small details from the trailer, but actually pretty much from all of the different gameplay we've seen thus far of Fallout 76. It's just the trailer sounds a bit better. Either way, let's take a step back. Fallout 76 has gotten a ton of video releases over the past month. We have the traditional E3 presentation, then we got the no-clip documentary, and then, very valuable, we actually got a bunch of snippets from the E3 presentation put into standalone videos. These are super interesting because the E3 presentation had some like bitrate issues. I don't know, you could just tell at certain points it wasn't super high quality. These standalone videos that were released of the same footage are in 4K, so a lot of these smaller things in the background are now possible to actually detect and read. So for that reason, a ton of minor details kind of got passed over with a lot of these. I'm sure you've heard of one or two of these, but hopefully overall the list is a surprise and new to you. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, you can subscribe, but with that all being said, let's just jump into it. So the first one that is probably the most obvious, but I just don't see a lot of people talking about it, is the release date of Fallout 76. Fallout 76 is coming out on November 14th, 2018. Seems pretty standard. I mean, they never actually really said the day, just gave you the date. Well, November 14th, 2018 is a Wednesday. None of the modern releases of Bethesda Game Studios have actually been on a Wednesday. Most of their stuff for Fallout 4 came out on a Tuesday, Skyrim came out on a Friday, but that was unique because that Friday was 11/11/11. And honestly, most games as a whole come out on either a Tuesday or a Friday, but Fallout 76 breaking some barriers and coming out on a Wednesday for some reason. We never really got an explanation as to why. I actually tweeted Pete Hines about this and he didn't give a serious answer. Next, we actually have the identity of Mothman. Seemingly, we only see short snippets of Mothman in some of the trailers. A lot of people thought this was Mothman. I thought it was Mothman. Honestly, up until doing the research for this video, I still suspected maybe that's Mothman. Well, actually, no. In reality, this is Mothman. Not exactly what I pictured as a Mothman, but either way, when in the no-clip doc they're talking about Mothman, they show this thing. I'll show you the little clip right here.
Yeah, the Mothman's incredible because it's a different thing. We've never done it before. We're hoping to do stages to him, early on in the game. Maybe he's just stalking you. You just see these creepy little eyes in the dark.
Maybe it's just poor editing on the part of the people behind the no-clip documentary, but it certainly seems like they're alluding to the fact that that small creature with those glowing eyes is actually Mothman. And that could be one form of him. Maybe he'll stretch out his wings and fly around also, but very interesting how they're handling that. Mothman, if you don't know, is a pretty big part of West Virginian lore and going to be at least a pseudo-large part of this game. He actually has his own location on the map, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Alright, so we got Mothman, but also apparently we have the Brotherhood of Steel, and this is up to much controversy. A few YouTubers have actually made standalone videos on this. I didn't want to do so because I feel like it's so up in the air as to how this will be handled, but in the background of some of the Fallout 76 gameplay, you could actually see Brotherhood of Steel logos on some of the barriers, and in addition, you actually see the flight or kind of basic suit that the Brotherhood of Steel wear in Fallout 4 in gameplay. So what does this mean? Either Bethesda is doing some weird stuff and including all those logos and the suit in the game. Maybe they'll do some retconning. The Brotherhood of Steel was technically an organization before the bombs dropped, so it is plausible that maybe there's like a splinter cell wandering around this area or just some of their gear was left here. But if there actually is a force or a section of the Brotherhood of Steel in West Virginia, it would definitely go against some of the existing lore. Again, they can do things like say a splinter cell's here or other kinds of retconning, but it'll be interesting to see how this is handled. In the no-clip documentary, we actually find out that you could have 57 total perk points or special points, whatever you want to call them, points to allocate into the special system, whether it be leveling up one of the individual special rankings or picking a perk card under that ranking. 57 is of course being quite a bit of a lower limit. Intuitively, you'll get 1 point to allocate to this each time you do level up, so at level 57 you will have the maximum amount of point cards. This of course being quite distinctive from Fallout 4 where there was no level limit. You could just continue to gain XP and level up further and further. That does make a lot more sense for Fallout 76 though, because you actually can reallocate your perk points each time you do level up, and apparently trade some of these perk cards with other players. They've touched on this in previous interviews, and having an unlimited leveling system in a multiplayer game can be very dangerous and harmful. Having to choose different things for your character and having different opportunity costs would probably be a lot healthier for this game. Now we get the 4K version of some of that in-vault gameplay. We actually can get a better look at this special board that was previously very blurry and hard to decipher. Even though this is probably taking kind of a role-play approach to this, I imagine a lot of these are actually going to apply to real-world special attributes. and potentially some of the different perks that you can take in this game. So going from left to right, educators are probably people that will gain more experience. Maybe you could share experience with your party or have a perk that will make it so your entire party gains more experience. Public safety worker, just having more rad resistance or being more tanky. Technicians and mechanics, this might be ways to actually save in the workshop mode of this game. We've heard in previous interviews that taking down certain workshops or settlements and actually killing a monster there will give you access to valuable resources. Certain perks making that reward quite a bit greater would be quite plausible. Marketing specialists could affect your trade prices in this game. We do know player-to-player trading is going to be a thing, and you actually set up a robot to trade items for you. Building construction could correspond to more abilities or unlocks in workshop mode. Pest control professional, just more damage towards bugs or more damage towards creatures. And healthcare professional, this one I find to be very interesting, maybe something in the healing aspect. Being able to take on a medic role in your party would be really awesome. I might be a bit biased because I typically play those types of characters, but either way, I'm excited to see more about these. From the NoClip documentary, we actually had a look in the Pip Boy, and specifically we find out this game is going to feature a radio. You might be like, well, obviously, but no, that's not so obvious, because radio stations are typically operated by humans. This game doesn't have any humans. So who's going to be on the radio? It'll likely be either a robot or somebody outside of the map. That's something we've seen, I think, in Fallout 4 and even other previous Fallouts where there's a radio host, like 3Dog per se, but you never actually get to meet him. He's not in the playable world space of that game. In addition, the map is no longer in the Pip Boy, so of course we've actually gotten images of the map throughout many of these different trailers, but you can quickly see as they're cycling through the Pip Boy in the NoClip documentary that there's no map tab present. It's just the data with different quests. Likely you'll still have a map of some sort. It'll just be that paper map that, again, you've kind of seen in the background, not an interface that's actually held in your Pip Boy. One reason for this can actually be that you entered into this vault, Vault 76, a few years before some of the other vaults. You actually entered into this particular 1.5 years before the bombs dropped, so maybe they didn't have the functionality of implementing this into the Pip Boys like they did in other regions or other vaults. Or maybe Bethesda will say nothing as to why this occurs, but that could be one justification players will use themselves. In addition, from all these different videos, you can actually get a pretty complete look at this map. All the credit for this is going to a user known as Chiyori. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. He is on Reddit. I'll have a link to his post down below. He actually compiled this from all the different documentaries, and we get a pretty good look as to what Vault 76's world is going to look like. You can see many of the distinctive regions that will stand out, as well as the Toxic Valley. You could quickly realize what will be high-level zones or more combat-focused zones, similar to the Glowing Sea in Fallout 4. Either way, very detailed. I'll have a link to it down below so you could actually zoom in and check out some of the areas you're of interest. But now that we have this full map, we could actually reference back to the nuke map we've seen in the game. We know that you're not going to be able to nuke anywhere. It's going to be predefined locations that are nukeable. You can kind of see here that quite a few of these locations aren't nukeable by comparing the nuke map to the non-nuke map. They are in similar regions, one's a little bit more zoomed out, but you get the general idea. But something really interesting I noticed is if you actually look at the location of Vault 76 on this nuke map, look at the water around it. It's within that little lake there, as well as that gray railroad track is on the left side of it. If you actually look at the regular player map, it's in a totally different location, and where that little vault logo is nothing. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Maybe they moved it, or on one map it's in the wrong place. That seems like one of those things that you don't just leave there, that they'd probably fix right away though. No, let me know in the comments down below. What do you make of this? What do you think's going on here? But something interesting that I found while scrolling through a lot of this video. And then we have icons. So seemingly now you as a player will actually be able to set up your own little icons. It's something that you've seen throughout the whole trailer, but I kind of ignored it. Interestingly enough though, these seemingly don't correspond to your player character. That's just kind of how I assumed they would work after seeing them. But on the shot where you actually get kind of an image of all the different players standing next to each other, you realize their icons don't really correspond to anyone. A lot of smaller details in this video that I think are pretty interesting. Maybe get a new additional insight into Fallout 76, whether that be on the map or maybe even in the special aspects or components of this game. I'm really excited for this. I'm excited to get to experience the beta. I think it's going to be an awesome game. But of course, before we end things off, I will have one extra minor detail that you may have missed from the Bethesda conference. But before that, we are going to have today's psychology fun fact. Consumer psychology is the field that deals with kind of sales and business and more or less storefronts. Like when you go into Target and there's that like dollar or kind of just cheap miscellaneous stuff section, a consumer psychologist probably said, hey, if we put this thing here, a lot of people are going to stop there and buy stuff. Well, something else they have discovered is the decoy method with selling products. Let's say you have two things. One of them is $10 and one of them is $25. The $25 one obviously being quite a bit more premium. When you have somebody that wants to buy this product, a really well-proven method to actually selling the more premium variant rather than just having two choices is to have three. So let's say you have one that is $10, one that is $25, and one that is $50. A lot of people will opt for that $25 variant, more so than when it is just one that's $5 and $25. They view it as a middle of the road. They're not cheaping out, but they're also not buying the most expensive one. There's a lot of little things like this that are almost like little ticks with our brain that are almost unconscious to us, but play a major role in decision making from a lot of companies. Either way, you stay to the end though, so the bonus detail that a lot of you guys may have missed is actually for the Starfield trailer, an otherwise fairly basic trailer. If you actually look on that little satellite or space thing, object in the air, whatever you want to call it, there's actually a man on it. I definitely missed this on my multiple watches of this. It's pretty hard to see, but there is definitely a person walking around on that thing. Doesn't really imply much other than that there'll be humanoids in this game, which I think we all kind of assumed anyway. But either way, it's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. I enjoyed making it, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.